Hazard is the newest hero that Overwatch has added to the cast, and much like every new hero, he is currently dominating the meta in pro play. The recent Soup Cup shows a huge spectacle of the greatest teams in Korea, and all of them are playing Hazard almost everywhere. Yet again, a new hero has become a must-pick. Overwatch is no stranger to the meta being almost nothing but a single tank. Right before Hazard, we had Maga, and before that, Orisa. But even through all of these absurdly dominant tank metas, one man has continued to remain as the last bastion of compositional diversity at the top level. We've seen it from him everywhere, whether it be Maga meta, Ram meta, or Orisa meta, he makes it work and he's done it yet again. Dread it. Run from it. Junbin's ball arrives just the same. This video will be looking at the grand finals of the Soup Cup, where Junbin's ball deconstructed Zeta Division on Ilios with extreme precision. To understand how he did this, we must first understand their opponent. So let's take a look at Hazard, his main strengths and weaknesses, and the comps typically played with him. Hazard is a perfect combination between brawl and dive. He has a strong engagement and ability to close distance, but he has enough sustain and longevity to obliterate mid-fights as well. What I think truly defines Hazard though is his mobility and how he can navigate the map. Using his 5-second leap, wall climb, wall jump, and wall, he can hide in pretty much any nook or cranny on the map and engage from there. I mean, look at what Hottie is doing right now. More than that, because of the 5-second cooldown on leap, he can have engagements that feel never ending, where he goes in, gets some value, and then slightly disengages, just going to somewhere that allows him to get healing and reset cooldowns, but not somewhere that lets you walk forward and punish his team. Throw in a one-shot, some crazy survivability, and an ultimate with potential to be a straight-up win button, and you have a character who can come from anywhere and do anything, while never leaving you any room to breathe. Typically accompanying Hazard is either a brawlier composition with Lucio and Genji, or a divier composition with Ana and Brigitte. The brawlier composition tries to abuse how frequently Hazard can slash and goes for constant ins and outs. They go in, they harass, and they try to use the space created to take more angles. This playstyle allows for effective usage of Sojourn, who has played a lot with this variant, since not only can she rotate around the map more effectively than other hit scans, but with the use of her railgun, she can take advantage of the chaos created in the other team to get free kills. On the other hand, the dive variant looks to play for uptime on their hits. Instead of going in and out constantly and rotating around the map, they want to use Ana to let Hazard stay in a position which he uses to go for longer and more powerful engages with Ana's help. This lets them either make time to build Nano Boost and win with that, or make space for an anti-nade to give free eliminations on the next dive. This composition is typically a lot more flexible with what DPS are played than the Lucio Kiriko composition, with Echo, Tracer, Cassidy, Genji, and Ashe all being fairly common. It's best to think of the Ana Brig Hazard comp as something with all of the strengths of a Winston and Diva comp with very few of the weaknesses. With how I've described these comps, you might think that playing anything else into them would be a Herculean task, and you'd be absolutely right. If you try a comp that stands still and punishes the enemy approach, the Hazard comp will surround you. If you try a comp that aims to hard engage on a target, the Hazard comp will delay you and run away. If you try a comp that tries to survive the Hazard's engagement, he'll just keep going in and out until you have nothing left to sustain with. Even so, let's see how God's gift to Junbin absolutely deconstructs this seemingly impenetrable composition. Ilios starts out on Ruins, with Zeta Division playing the fastest variant of the Hazard composition. They opt for a Tracer instead of a Sojourn, and a Juno instead of a Kiriko. This comp is pretty much one long, unstoppable rotation directly to your weak point, much like Taco Bell Fire Sauce after tilt queuing ranked all night and drowning my sorrows in femboy memes on Twitter. Crazy Raccoons roll out on Junbin's signature Wrecking Ball, with Ashe, Ana, Sojourn, and Lucio. This composition looks weird at first, but think of it like this. Wrecking Ball's greatest strength is his ability to function without the help of supports, since he can just run away and play with health packs and his shield health. Because of this, he doesn't need much other than for his team to pump damage into his engagements. Since Ilios Ruins is a very straightforward map with long sight lines, the snipers offer a lot of follow-up, and the Lucio offers some peel potential to these snipers without having to be completely out of the fight like a Brig or a Mercy would. Junbin immediately rolls out, literally, to the far right side of the map, getting behind Zeta Division. This allows him to scout the comp so that Crazy Raccoons can position accordingly. Junbin then goes for a slam onto Zeta's core, pretty much alone, and gets forced out, allowing Zeta Division to get full control of the inside section of the map. Zeta need to play here if they're going to avoid all of the damage from Crazy Raccoon's snipers. To ensure that Crazy Raccoon can't just set up on the statue side mega and shoot them out, Alpha Yi sets up here to defend the position. Junbin recognizes that his snipers can't get any value and immediately goes to displace the people in the enclosed area, booping out Pelican and then attempting to slam Finn and Violet. While he may have missed the slam, what he did do was make everyone on Zeta Division look at him, meaning that Shu can slip into the closed room unpunished and hit an anti-nade on Finn. This pulls the trigger for Crazy Raccoons, who run in to try and punish this. Junbin takes his first actual risk going into the middle of Zeta without having his adaptive shields, while Chorong runs in with the dive to try to pressure Finn, and both Heesang and Lip take aggressive angles. The peel from Zeta Division is just too much, meaning that Bernard and Alpha Yi are able to force out Heesang and Lip before the kills come out, and even though Finn and Violet get extremely low, the kills just don't come out, giving Zeta Division the first teamfight win. Heesang goes for the swap onto Genji. This means that Crazy Raccoons are committing more people to their dives for a bit more of an aggressive playstyle. This also makes better use of Chorong's Lucio, since he can actually be aggressive with someone, rather than peeling at Ana who doesn't need it and then diving in alone. Junbin goes for an identical play as first fight, going to boop people in this enclosed area with the help of Lip's dynamite, but he makes an unfortunate error. For those who don't know, if you run into a wall in ball form and jump at the right time, it gives you enough height to go for a slam. I now bring you 4 minutes of me failing to demonstrate this ball tech. Junbin messes this up twice, which stops him from putting crucial pressure onto this engagement. Even pro players can make simple mistakes like this, so forgive yourself here and there. You're doing great. While Zeta Division's positioning has made it easy for them to survive the engagements from Crazy Raccoons thus far, an issue it poses is that it's really far from their backline, meaning that unless Crazy Raccoons troll like they did first fight, all Zeta can really do is eat these engagements and sustain while holding the point without many opportunities to engage. This lets Crazy Raccoons go in and out as much as they'd like with very little risk. Only 5% after Junbin got out, Crazy Raccoons are back into the fight with a nano boost onto Heesang. He runs down Violet's Lucio, forcing B. Zeta Division tried to use this to finally go in hard on Crazy Raccoon's backline, but there's one huge problem. While Heesang went on to Zeta's backline, Junbin went to the statue, contesting Alpha Yi and Pelican, forcing them back. By the time these DPS actually reach Shu, neither of them have any beat health left over, meaning they have to run away right into Lip's line of sight, who cleans up the fight for Crazy Raccoons. At this point, we've seen enough to recognize what Crazy Raccoon's strategy is. Hazard Comp wants something to engage on. Either they're taking angles on and destroying a backline, or they're delaying the enemy tank, stopping the other team from making any progress. This is nearly impossible against Crazy Raccoon's comp. Shu and Lip are playing far away from Zeta. If they just try to run in, they will be anti-naded, dynamited, and eventually cleaned up. This is made even harder by the fact that Junbin is constantly distracting and disrupting. Most of Junbin's roll-throughs and slams didn't accomplish much in terms of damage or kill potential, but that's because they don't need to. As long as Junbin makes Zeta look at him, Heesang and Lip can do the damage for him, which forces resources that Zeta Division would much rather use to engage. Simply put, this ball comp aims to cut off Hazard's value at the source. Crazy Raccoon's backline is too far away to engage on, and anytime they do step up, it's when Zeta has too few resources to get a proper engagement on them. If Hazard can't move, Hazard can't win, and that's exactly the strategy being employed by Crazy Raccoons. Recognizing how slow they've been forced to play, Violet swaps over to the Brigida. If they aren't using the speed boost from Lucio, Brig does everything else better. Violet is now better at living engagements, and armor packs on Pelican and Alpha Yi will do a lot for them. Zeta Division try to rotate inside, and here we once more see Crazy Raccoon's strategy. Delay, disrupt, decimate. Shu throws an anti-nade into the small room, which threatens Violet. Meanwhile, Chorong and Heesang force Alpha Yi's recall, and Junbin spends time slowing down Bernard. Bernard actually manages to get past Junbin, finally forward enough for an engagement onto Lip. But look at where the rest of Zeta is. Bernard has suddenly become free food for Junbin, who peels and eventually eliminates him, winning the teamfight. One of Junbin's biggest skills on ball is his ability to chase stagger kills into the enemy spawn. Bernard dies at 43%, but Zeta Division isn't done dying until 55, simply due to Junbin's willingness to take the engagement from point all the way to Zeta's spawn. At this point, Crazy Raccoons has now had time to set up closer to Zeta Division's spawn. The more distance that Zeta Division has to cross to get to point, the more times that Junbin can delay them and try to force a mistake. Time isn't needed though, since the moment after this teamfight starts, Violet oversteps, giving Hisang's Dragonblade a free kill. After a quick reset, Bernard tries to force his way over to point to make room for his team to touch, but he is once again super split from the rest of his team, only surviving momentarily with the help of Finn, who teleports over, and Suzu's. But it's simply not enough as Crazy Raccoons clean up the kills and win the point with a beautiful and flawless defense. Beautiful and flawless like you. Move on to Ilios Well, where Crazy Raccoons roll out on a comp with Echo and Tracer. This allows them to play more aggressively since they aren't having to concern themselves with where Lip is and what he can see. Meanwhile, Zeta Division roll out on the Ana Brig Hazard with the same DPS line. Personally, I think this has a much better chance of working into the Wrecking Ball, since Finn and Violet aren't as easy to pressure and don't need to be very far forward to help with Bernard's engagements. Junbin once again starts out scouting, flying high into the air to check Zeta's team comp. Bernard tries to take early positioning on the windmill, but with where Zeta's backline is playing, they can't keep him there and he gets forced out. Junbin goes around for a flank, and here we can see yet again why this is so hard for Zeta Division. Junbin is on the enemy side of the map on the opposite side of his team who is playing Coast. Ball is just about the only tank who can get away with playing this far from his team. Meanwhile, Bernard has to go through the gauntlet of crossing all this space just to even set up for a hit on Shu. That being said, Bernard is still Bernard. While Junbin tries to take attention to stop Zeta Division's backline from aggressing and also making room for Hisang to try and fail to assassinate Pelican, Choron goes in despite seeing Bernard on his way. Shu misses the sleep and Bernard is left free to 1v1 Shu, scoring an elimination. Meanwhile, Crazy Raccoons go in to try to win a 4v4 with Zeta's backline. They manage to pick off Finn with the help of a boop from Junbin and Violet, but they're stranded in the other team's space, out of resources, and Bernard is back more than ready to bring the pain, scoring a quick elimination onto Choron and then wins a duel with an Echo while she is mid-air. Am I sure this video is about Junbin? Anyways, while Bernard puts up LeBron numbers this fight, Junbin is chasing him down and chunking his health bar, taking control of the space on point, but something crucial has been missed by Crazy Raccoons. While they took the 4v4, Alpha Yi captured the point. This entire time Zeta has been getting percentage. Bernard got low, but Finn is now back and healing. Even though it's hard for Zeta to win this fight without a full reset, it doesn't matter since Bernard is now stalling the point 20% and counting. Not interested in playing that game without Hisang, Crazy Raccoons disengage and give up space. Even though it was rather odd, it's safe to say the first fight win went to Zeta Division. Junbin goes around for another flank, looking to boop Violet in, but gets slept by Finn. No problem for Junbin though, since he gets woken shortly with Shu hitting an anti-nade onto the brig, and the follow-up is absolutely here for Crazy Raccoons. Choron boops the backline further into the room, followed by Junbin doing the same, with damage pouring in from Lip as well. Despite their backline being stuck in a small room, the first elimination this fight came onto Pelican, who couldn't receive help from his brig and is picked off by Hisang and Shu. After an avalanche of pressure, Zeta Division tried to save Violet with an ult, but there was a miscommunication, and instead of using Rally or Nano, they used both, and Crazy Raccoons swiftly disengage, with Lip and Choron both getting picked trying to leave by Alpha Yi. This fight is lost and Crazy Raccoons have to reset. Keep in mind, this entire time the point has been captured by Zeta Division, spelling absolute disaster for Crazy Raccoon— wait, what? I stand corrected. This fight is not over, because as long as our Lord and Savior Junbin is alive, the team fight is winnable. What happened here? Well, it seems that just like last map with the Nanoed Genji, Zeta Division has once again forgotten about Hisang and their backline, who hits a full sticky onto Violet, and finishes the kill with Junbin, who keeps going and also takes out the Ana. Hisang then copies Pelican, who had swapped to the Cassidy and hits the Gap of the Century. Crazy Raccoons cap, and it's time to see if they can pull out another defense like last time. Junbin unsurprisingly goes for another flank. Are you noticing a trend? And goes completely unscouted. meaning that Finn walks up perfectly into the space that Crazy Raccoons were set up to engage on, getting pretty much insta-kill. This success is short-lived, however, since Junbin then overextends to try to force the kill onto Violet, getting picked in the process. Pelican also gets picked, but not before hitting extremely crucial shots onto Hiseng, picking them off as well. Shu steps forward to try to hit a sleep dart, and while he succeeds, Alpha Yi is right there with a pulse bomb, punishing him and securing this fight for Crazy Raccoons. Finn has had enough of getting hate crimed by Junbin and swaps over to the Juno. While this does mean it may be harder to kill Finn since he can just run away, this may be overall worse for Zeta Division, since it's hard to help Bernard when he goes in. Junbin stages this attack from the windmill, helping Lip beat Alpha Yi in the duel up here, then going for a hit on Violet, who promptly blocks it and leaves. Shu hits Hiseng with a nano boost to try to assassinate Finn with, but Finn is ready and uses their movement, as well as a pack from Violet to escape. Choron gets hit on the overextension, and we finally start to see some of the chinks in Crazy Raccoon's armor. Junbin may be hard to punish, but the rest of CR has been way overcommitting to most of these engagements. By swapping to Juno and Cassidy, the game plan has switched away from have better dives than Junbin to peel the dives and punish anyone who tries to participate. This works extremely well, with Bernard catching out Hiseng, and Alpha Yi using Hollow Purple in the Tracer duel on Lip. With this, it's far too much, and Zeta Division clean up the teamfight, completing the point capture and winning the second round. Some of you may be wondering how things changed between the first and second rounds. In both rounds, there were a lot of cases where Zeta Division played to survive and punish Crazy Raccoon's engages. In truth, the major change was the compositions. With Crazy Raccoons not running the Ashe in this round, it meant that there wasn't a threat of dying in the poke phase, and it also meant that Bernard was left free to peel the engagements whenever Junbin went in, rather than having to contest Lip every time. Finally, the Cassidy pick from Pelican was really devastating to the Crazy Raccoons DPS. This next round starts off with both teams on the same rollout as last map. Zeta Division on the Ana Brig, and Crazy Raccoons on the Tracer Echo. Bernard starts setting up for a dive onto Crazy Raccoon's high ground, but Junbin is already set up right below Zeta Division. Junbin grapples up, gets booped away, and then uses the momentum from this boop to launch himself above Zeta Division's bridge, ready to follow up on Shu's nade. The timing here is also crucial. This is an extremely dangerous engagement from Junbin due to Finn's sleep dart. If the nade hits, then he probably lives and wins the teamfight. If it doesn't, he will die. Thus, he actually waits to see if the nade hits anything before committing to the slam. Seeing that it doesn't, he simply shoots a bit. But Finn decides to toss the sleep dart anyways, missing it and making Junbin's next engage completely free. This slam with the follow-up from Hiseng is enough to force Finn onto the low ground, so Zeta Division drop their entire team, sending Finn and Hiseng to cage while everyone else fights for the first point capture. After Crazy Raccoons scout Finn, Junbin absolutely books it to the engage with the help of Hiseng and Lip, getting a kill onto Pelican and eventually Alpha Yi. During this time, Bernard has captured the point and was hoping to peel, but Shu's sleep dart puts an end to that dream. Crazy Raccoons clean up the fight and capture the point. Yet again, we see distance playing an absolutely crucial role in how Crazy Raccoons pick apart the hazard comp. Junbin had 3 opportunities to go for an engagement in the first fight while Bernard had none. Hazard relies on his supports to keep him alive, and isn't nearly as mobile as Ball. He just has to work so much harder to get onto Shu than Junbin does to get onto Finn. Pelican swaps over to the Cassidy, hoping to play for the same strategy Zeta did last map, where it didn't matter that Bernard couldn't get to Shu, since Crazy Raccoon's engagements didn't secure enough kills to win the teamfights. This, however, is much harder on this point than the last. On Lighthouse, the point is pretty much on the opposite side of the map that a backline wants to be to live dives. If Zeta Division doesn't put pressure on the point, Junbin can just win by taking a nap at his keyboard. This forces Zeta Division to send Finn and Pelican, the people who are hoping to punish the dive, on the opposite side of Bernard and Violet, the people who helped them live that dive. Crazy Raccoons approach this in an interesting way. While in theory they could try to do the same as last fight, just send the entire team directly over to Finn and Pelican, this could give up even more point percentage. Instead, Crazy Raccoons nano Hiseng, which gives him the survivability to poke at Finn and Pelican without dying. This keeps them completely out of the teamfight. This allows everyone on Crazy Raccoons to commit to brawling on point. Shu hits an anti onto Violet. What do you do if you're Brig and you're antied? Rallying to live is usually a good idea, but Oh, Violet, how you have fallen from goat status to meme material. Unsurprisingly, Crazy Raccoons win this brawl on point, which gives a pretty clean team fight win over to them, and Zeta swap over to the Juno and switch Pelican over to Genji, hoping they can make some magic happen with a more durable backline and mobile DPS. Zeta Division approach this fight with a different strategy from any of the previous. They send both of their supports to the safe cage area, send Alpha Yi to point, and Bernard looks to go through cage onto the opponent's high ground, potentially contesting Shu for the first time this point. Yet again though, the absolute pressure being put out by Crazy Raccoons over so much distance has baited Bernard to skip steps, and he once more gets caught out, slept by Shu, and finished off by Heesung. Lip hits a pulse bomb onto Violet, and that's pretty much the end of the game. The cleanup comes out, and Junbin has once again become Death, destroyer of metas.